Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the GZDB Advanced Mapping Tutorial for Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch. I am Alex Mendez. Some people call me Melinda, some people call me Bluebrawl, but that's not relevant. What's relevant is that you're here for a simple, quick, and efficient tutorial on how to get up and running with your map. Now, as you can see, this is basically the table of contents. Beforehand, I'd like to ask if you've already become familiar with all the components you need to make a map in the first place, for which I'm talking about GZDB, Xandronum, the actual PK3 file itself, those sort of things. So, assuming you've got all that and you've watched the first tutorial, you should be all familiar with the basics of mapping. And now we're going to get to the slightly more advanced aspects of it. And by advanced, I mean relatively advanced when compared to what other maps in Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch have. Some maps can be very bare bones, and that's fine. But if you want your map to be a little bit more dynamic, have a little bit more pizzazz, and make it a little bit more fun to move around, then this is the tutorial for you. Now, first off, I'd like to apologize for not actually including how to include import Mapinfo into your map. That was definitely a boo-boo, because that's actually the very last thing you need to make your map whole, in a sense, complete your map. So we're going to open up a program called Slade. Now, SLADE3 is basically a program where, well, it just says in the title, it's a Doom editor. So to open a file using Slade, just click the Manila folder. I'm going to open up this file right here, and this is basically the file we had last time with a couple of changes here. And this is basically what you see when when you open up your map in Slade. You see all the sectors, you see the information as a text map file, Z-nodes as well, and nmap to mark the end of the map. Now we're going to do something. We need to add the Mapinfo into the map file. So what we're going to do is click this little E right here, type in Mapinfo, all caps. It's recommended. I mean, you could actually just leave it in lowercase and it still show up as all uppercase. And you're gonna hit this little button right here that says View as Text, because right now it's a marker. We want it to be a Mapinfo file. So copy this information right here, and they'll give you a quick rundown of what this Mapinfo is about. First, we have the code word map. Then we have the level name right here, which should match the name on the map marker. And then we have the actual map name, what we're going to call it. So we're going to call it map tutorial. We could call it anything else. We could use upper lowercase letters, a bunch of symbols as well. And overall, it's fun to make whatever kind of kooky name you can think of. People tend to use an adjective and a location to name their map. So we're going to say like Spooky Castle, for example. People tend to go with that. Spooky, there we go, that's better. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to call it tutorial. Okay, now, the level number. Every map has a unique level number. It's recommended that you keep your level number within the, I would say, 800 to 3000 range, so that you don't conflict with any other map numbers here, because there's only about maybe, I think, 800 maps in existence in Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch history. I mean, that's what I think. Now, Sky 1 is about your skybox, in case you included the F-Sky1 texture, but somehow didn't make a skybox like last time. It just defaults to this black texture and whatever. Cluster is not too relevant, but it's always a good idea to have that in there. Music, very relevant. Now, this is going to be the music that plays when your map starts. So, I chose Horror Muse, but I think Knee Muse, which is the music played when you go into Mega Man 3 Needleman stage, is more appropriate. Now, error control. The core has it set to 0.5. This is the little aspect that prevents you from flying across the map like it's Dragon Ball Z. So, if you want to prevent people flying across the map and basically doing things they shouldn't, then you set this little parameter here into your Mapinfo file. Now, I know some maps actually you got away with 0.45, but for the sake of simplicity, 0.5 is sufficient. PAR is more or less exclusive to the core. Custom mappers use their own music script for boss music, but basically that's what PAR is. establishes the boss music that plays when you're close to the end of the match. So par equals 3 means that when you're about 5 frags away from winning a death match, or 1 frag away from winning a duel, or 1 point, or you're the last person standing in your TLMS match, then it means MM3 boss will start playing, and you get to hear fun boss music while you fight for your life. Woo! It's so fun. Now, even lighting, also a bit recommended, but not entirely. It's kind of optional. So what this does is, if you do not go with the 255 brightness everywhere, like I recommended last time, it establishes even lighting. So it's optional, but it's not required. It's nice. So once you have the map info in, hit the save button right here, not up here, right here, and you can see right here. My type has changed from a regular marker to Mapinfo, which is exactly what we want. Okay. And you notice that the WAD name doesn't match up with the level name. That doesn't have to be the case. You can name a WAD anything. So I just named it Asgore, for convenience sake. So when you want to save the file, really save the file, you can hit this button right here, or you can do Control S, depending on how you prefer to navigate Slade. Now, to give a quick rundown of the buttons right here, new WAD archive, if you want to make a new WAD like this, or music pack, or whatever, make something simple. Zip file archive is if you want to make like a PK3, like say for a map pack, or pretty much just a map pack, or a really hefty mod. We've talked about opening a file, opening a directory, saving, save as if you want to save this map but save it under a different name, or a different file type, save all, so that you save every file that you have currently open it with Slade. Close the map, close the file you're working on, close all the files you're working on. New entry, we talked about that. New directory, that's only available for PK3 files. It's like a new folder. Import files, recommended if you want to import things. So if you want to import music, say I want to import copyright music into this file, you could just do that. And you could do it with multiple files as well. So say I want to import all of Kendrick Lamar's music, we just do that, highlight that, and hit open. Texture editor, that we will save. I will save that for another day, maybe for another Slade tutorial, something like that. But for now, the only thing this is good for is editing patches and whatnot, editing the looks of your map. Map editor and run archive are relevant. This is basically what we use GZDB for, so don't bother. Rename if you want to rename this thing, but I wouldn't recommend it. Delete. Import is basically the same as importing multiple, but I definitely lean toward using this option right here instead of this option, because this option is kind of finicky. Export is great if you want to export a file from, say, Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch V4C, like you want to look at how Flame Man's oil pits work. You could always just open the file right here, or you could be like me, hit the export button, exports the map. Pretty fun stuff. Okay. And if you want to move things up and down right now, you just hit move up, move down buttons, Control U, Control D. Do you, boo-boo. Do you. Alright, we're done with that. Now we've finished making our map, or the very bare essentials of it. Okay, so now we're going to move on to this fancy little script language called ACS. Now, forget what it was called exactly. Let me just see here. I think it's called Action Code Script. Yep, Action Code Script. Scripting language, somewhat similar to C, so that enables level developers to do whatever they want with their maps using a bunch of predefined functions and coding structures. So as you can see here, an example script. It's pretty similar to C if you've ever worked in a programming language, or if this is your first time with a programming language. It's not hard to learn. I recommend you learn it. It's very simple. All you gotta, and it teaches you the bare essentials of what good programming is like. But if you want to learn good programming habits, I do recommend you take up a CS class or something, computer science class, like Computer Science 101 or something, so that you begin learning, or do something like Codecademy's track so that you get a good understanding of good programming structures, or just programming languages in general. And we're going to use ACS throughout this tutorial to achieve our wildest dreams, and by that I mean just making elevators and teleporters and jump pits and whatnot work a little bit better for us, so that we don't have to constantly make ladders and whatchamacall, slope floors and steps like these. You know, it gets tedious after a while. So you want to create shortcuts for the player or shortcuts for yourself. It doesn't really matter. I removed the jump pad. I probably should add that again, but more importantly, I should actually import the script. So if you don't mind, I'm going to open up Slade again. Now I have to run my copy of Slade as administrator because it somehow, for some reason, it crashes when I open it up using this button right here. So we're going to take these scripts right here. Now you don't got to worry about what the scripts are now. Just know that this is where the magic is. This is the magic that's going to make our map splendiferous. Now, I'm going to hit the F10 button, which opens up the script editor. Paste all that in. I said paste all that in. Fudge. That should actually open. I don't know why. Don't know why that did. Why that happened. Sorry for that. Very sorry. Okay. Control C. Open up the editor. Control V. Okay, there we go. That's better. So, first thing you always want to do, whenever you make a map or make a script, is you include this little line of code right here. It says include z.acs. z.acs is basically all the components we're going to be working with to make our map. So, it's a header file for short. As you can see, there's lots of fancy scripts here. You don't got to worry about this. I'll run down some of the scripts for it with you guys so that you don't get too confused. But the bare essentials of the script are that you have a script, keyword, script number that's distinct from all the other script numbers, and a type. So this script will execute when the map opens. This script will execute when you call on it. This script will execute when you respawn, and this script will execute when you enter the map. So simple stuff like that. Pretty nice. This script executes when you die, for example. And this right here is the first script I want to talk about. This is the boss music script, as you can see right here. So the boss music script is for mappers who want to use custom boss music in their maps. Say you import a little music file using Slade and you want that music to be played when you're 5 frags away or whatnot. So you can copy this little snippet of code right here, and all you gotta change are these two variables here. Boss song, which is the song that plays when you're, near the end of the match, and Vic song, which is the victory song that plays when you end the match. It's nice stuff. So it's not too relevant how this code works, but to give you a quick rundown, there's this variable called music check that checks if the music should start playing or not. We have boss music set to 0 right here, so if 0 is not equal to music check, say music check is 1 or music check is 2, then we assign music check to boss music, and then we check what boss music is. So if boss music equals 1, we know we're near the end of the match. So we say, okay, let's set the music to whatever you want it set to. So hard music, for example. If boss music equals 2, we know that the match has ended. So we play Vic song, or in this case, Bub Abuse. Not very appropriate, but you get the idea. And this snippet of code right here, it's also very relevant. It says whenever somebody disconnects, it runs this script again, so that we can check if we still do need to play boss music or victory music. Very important. Okay, so last time we made Deathpits using basically what was given to us by Doom, just using the predefined functions inside of Doom. Now, if you want to make Deathpits that are more advanced, I would say, you're going to need to include a little thingy, little actor hits floor item, and you're going to need to execute always. Is that it? No. Just look here for scripts. Unlucky, I don't see it. Oh, here we go, script. Script, execute always, script number 205, when actor hits floor. And so what that does is when the actor hits the floor, well, they fall and they die. Pretty simple stuff. But if they have this item called beat call, then they don't die. In fact, they get to float and live on for a few more seconds and escape the death pit. So I'm going to show you a quick example right here how that works. See that? Artist just got the news that Leicester City won the Premier League and beat out Newcastle, so he's going to off himself, except for the fact that he has beat call equipped, which means his suicide is delayed by at least a few more seconds. He rethinks his options and says suicide's not worth it. And you see, because we introduced air control into this map, right here, you're not flying across the map, making reasonable jumps, which is good, which is what we want, basically. Okay. So we know that jump pad now, that death pit works a little bit better. Now what about the jump pads? Now last time, I showed you guys how they made it last time. That was pretty simple, and it worked for what we wanted, but it had a little bit of a flaw. See, if you jumped on the jump pad, and you had the jump key pressed at the same time that you landed on the pad, it'd fling you way much higher than what you'd want, how high you'd want to be flinged. So we're just gonna go ahead, modify, make our own jump pad from scratch again, but this time we're gonna use a script that allows us to control how high a player can fly. So we're gonna do the same thing we did with the death pit, right? Actor hits floor. Let's see here. Actor hits floor. Good. And we want to look for script execute always. I forgot what it was. I forgot the action number, but this is always good for looking for what you want here. It's 226. I thought it was 225. And we're going to execute script, I think it was number 7. So if we actually go to the jump pad script I was talking about, it's actually script number 8. But you see here, script number 8, there's 2 things you need to pay attention to. Well, strong spring, for one, says basically a flag for whether you're jumping high or not. And these 2 little things, the rest of the actions, these 2 snippets of code. Now if we run down thing thrust C, it basically has the thing ID, which is 0. That basically means whatever activated the script gets to get flung in the air where the speed is 75 in the upward direction and with the set value of 75. It's not 75 plus something, it's just straight up 75. Same thing here. Whoever activated the scripts gets flung up at a speed of 65 upward at a set speed. Okay? And takes away this item called jump canceller, which stops you from jump canceling, I guess. Okay? So the real magic of the script right here is that, let's see, we're going to do 45 here. Scan, keep that at 75. And when we run the map, see, you don't really get high enough to get on top of the platform, but if you have the jump button pressed, you jump even higher, which is nice. That's basically what the script is for. So some people tend to actually keep the jump button pressed when they're jumping on the pads, and so it accounts for that. Before, if that was the case, it would be flung either this high, or they'd be flung way higher, like multitudes higher, which is not what we want. It's very awkward, to say the least. Okay. So you can modify this to say, okay, we kind of don't want the player to feel like they need to jump high, need to have the jump button pressed to jump high. So we're just going to keep it at 65 and 75, but they're relatively close. Like there's no difference between pressing the jump button or not. Just kind of what the script is for. But it still keeps you, but still enough force to just just barely get you onto this platform. And, you know, that could have its own uses. Elevators. These are a staple in Doom maps. Not very often seen in Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch maps, though. Mostly because we use different methods for getting across the map. So, and use this property again, actor hits floor. Or actually, what we can do right now is edit this a little bit. Make it clear as like this is a spot where people can ride from the ground. So we're going to change the texture just a bit. This will do perfectly fine. Here we go. Just edit these little textures right here. So that, again, you don't get any glitches. Okay, keep that down. We're going to assign that a tag at 39. Now you might be asking yourself, why are we assigning that a sector tag of 39? Because of the script I'm about to show you. It's the automatic elevator script. So whenever the map opens, the script automatically runs. And it basically says, we want the floor to rise, that specific floor right there, tag 39. We want that to rise 128 pixels at a speed of 20 pixels per tick or something like that. Speed's not too relevant. Kind of, not too relevant. And then wait for the floor to finish rising, and then we go on a delay. 3-second delay. Now, Doom uses ticks to count time, and it's 35 ticks per second. So 35 ticks per second times 35 ticks times 3 gives us 3 seconds. And once that delay is over, the floor, that specific floor goes back down 128 pixels at a speed of 20. Wait for that to finish, that floor to finish going down. Then we had another 3-second delay, and then we restart this whole entire script. We'll start the whole entire process. So I'm going to show you that script in action. It's a lot simpler than I've described it. See that? Look at that. It goes up, and it goes down. 3 seconds pass by, goes back up again. 3 seconds pass by, and it goes back down again. Simple stuff. That's a bit slow though. So if we want to change the speed, we just change this little variable right here, say to 30. But what if we don't want it to be automatic? What if we want it to be activated when the player actually steps on the platform? Well, that's what we have this for. Actor hits floor. Script execute always. 226. Script number 7. Okay. And change the floor tag from 39 to 41. So that matches the floor tag variable in this script. Basically, actor hits floor, activates this script when somebody hits this floor. This floor is basically the same as the automatic elevator script, except there's no delay at the end, and it can be reactivated instantaneously after you're done going back down. Okay? So we see it in action. See? It's not rising up as usual. We have to step on it. When you step on it, go up. Pretty cool stuff, right? So we want to go back up again. Oh dear, that's issue right there. I added that restart thing. Yeah, restarts the whole script, as I said before, and we didn't want that. So, okay. Every time you save the scripts, it recompiles everything, and there we go. Should work now. Okay. See, it doesn't go back up after 3 seconds. You have to get back on the platform again, but the script executes again. So say we want it to go even higher. We bump this value up. Say we want it to go even faster. We bump this value up. Say we want the delay to be even shorter. Well, we bump this value down. Control save, pilot again. Now it should work much more similar to how Doom uses elevators. So step on the platform, get right back up, Ignore that missing texture, which I forgot to add, but you get the idea. Go back up, okay, go back down, go back up, okay, go back down, go back up, okay, go back down. Okay, there we go. You get the idea. Alright, that's elevators for you kids. That's elevators. Another way of moving across the map is with scrolling floors / waterfalls. So to make enough space to include a scrolling floor, we're going to actually go ahead and basically move all these pieces out of the way. Give us enough space here in the middle to make the scrolling floors. And now would be a good time to say that it's good practice, always good practice, to make a map that's scalable and to always figure out your layout before you start adding the details. Because you see, at this stage, it's easy to move things around the map. Say you want this center of the map to be much wider, much bigger, we want this sector to be smaller, or we want the floors, the railings to be whatever size we want, you know? It's just a matter of highlighting things and basically dragging them wherever we want. We're dragging them wherever we please. So if we even wanted to say, if we wanted to make this thing wider, just drag that, and there you go. You have a wider elevator. Pretty simple stuff. Now back to the scrolling floors here. I'm going to make a simple sector, 512 pixels in length, 64 pixels in width. And we're going to give it a texture to indicate that it's going to be a scrolling floor. Now, simply changing the texture doesn't automatically make it a scrolling floor. It's just, you know, a good visual indicator that if you jump onto this floor, this sector, you're going to be carried somewhere. So we're going to raise it maybe 32 pixels. I mean, you could have it at the same level as the ground, but for convenience sake, for demonstration purposes, we're just going to raise it 32 pixels to distinguish it from the rest of the map. Just as well, we're going to just that. Okay. I think we want to assign it a tag. I remember correctly. Yeah, I think we did. Anyways. Oh yeah. Added floor scrolling right here. Make this a conveyor belt. Just simply change the tag to 8. Now, to explain that, why simply changing the tag makes it a conveyor belt almost instantly, we gotta go to this piece of code right here. Automatically executes whenever the map opens up. This line of code here says we're going to take whatever floors have a tag value of 8. We're not going to make a move anywhere in the X direction, but we're going to make a move 250 pixels faster in the Y direction, or what I presume to be 250 pixels faster in the Y direction. Again, it's similar to velocity with the elevators. There's no real specific unit for this. It's just a simple, oh, I feel like going 250 faster. Units faster. Whatever. And then this type right here is if you have animated textures or not. So if you have animated textures, like Metal Man hairs right here, we want to go with type 1. But if you have non-animated textures, you want to use type 2 so that the floor also scrolls with you as you get carried in the north direction. So we're just going to run that. Okay. Jump on. Look at that. Getting carried. So if you want to move across the map faster, strafe run, oof, even jump wider. You can jump farther as well. That's pretty good. That's a nice touch. And just the same, it doesn't have to be higher than the rest of the floors. It could be lower as well. Which brings us to our next aspect right here. Let's see. We're going to use this script to make a waterfall. And it's pretty simple. Okay. Go here, change that. Make that match up with the rest of the floors right here. Okay. As long as it has a tag of 8 and we have a script that tells this floor to be a conveyor belt or to scroll and carry you places, you know, doesn't matter what textures we use, it's still going to do its job. Still going to do the same thing as before, which is just simply carried in a direction. Now, one of the most common... Okay, let me see if I finished. Okay. Now, one of the most common gimmicks in all of Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch is water. People love to use water because it makes people float longer, it makes moving across the map simpler, more convenient in some cases, also frustrating in other cases, but it's usually a nice thing. Not always a necessary thing sometimes, but it can help with your map design a little bit. Or it's just fun to play in water sometimes, I don't know. So we're going to make a pool here, or what I would claim to be a pool. Add textures so we don't get missing textures. It's always a bad thing to have missing textures in your map. You can ignore that though. Not too relevant right now. Okay, I can't. I'm going to change that. Okay, yeah. For some reason, GZDB doesn't like slope floors with textures on them. It sometimes automatically removes those textures because it, like it says, oh, there's no texture there. What are you talking about? You're crazy. Just ignore it. Okay. Got this nice pool. But if we jump into this pool right now, can't jump out of it. And also, there's not even any water in this pool. How can I even call it a pool? Well, to make a pool, we're going to make a 3D floor, just like we did before in the first tutorial. But this time, we're going to make it low. We're going to make the floor height and the ceiling height match up as well. We're going to give it a water texture, so here we go, aqua water for the ceiling and for the floor. Good stuff. Rotation doesn't matter. Okay, what was the tag that I used for water floors? Let's see, if we look at the water script up here, it should tell us. Sector tag 15. Height equals negative 16.0. So here we go. I'm going to make a 3D floor here. 15. I'm going to make it non-solid. I'm going to tone down the opacity so that people can see through the floor, just like you can see through water in most cases. If you live in India, I feel sorry for you. Kind of. Okay. As you can see, it should be a pool. Oh, that's right. We have to actually make this a tag of 15 as well. Okay, now we've made a pool. It looks like a pool, right? But before we can really make it a pool, we got to include this water script right here. This large chunk of code is what helps you make water maps. Okay, so this is the water check script. Checks if you're in water or not. If you're in water, good. It's going to give you low gravity. If you're not in water, it's just going to give you normal gravity. And if you respawn inside of water, it's going to run this script again. And this is the most important part right here, water check. So it checks the sector tag and checks whoever's in it, and it asks, is that person lower than this height, which we set at negative 16.0. If the person's in that water and they're lower than height, we're going to return to right here. And as you can see, case 2, it's going to give you low gravity. It's going to say, you're in water, here's low gravity, have fun jumping around. So run this script, run this map, demonstrate water. It's a nice splash too. Jump up, low gravity. Now, jump above, still going to give you normal gravity. As you can see, I don't jump any higher, even if I'm in the same sector as the pool, same area as the pool. It's only when I get below water that I'm given low gravity. I can jump around like I'm actually underwater, which is nice. Alright. We make this sector longer, we can copy the sector elsewhere, just do what you want with it. Say Control C, Control V. Put that sector here. And now we have two pools. Ain't that fancy? But we don't really want two pools. One pool is enough. I don't want to have to take out a second mortgage and okay, whatever. Now, next aspect. Floor friction. Now another popular, well, I would say it's an underrated gimmick. Not many people use this in their maps. I feel like they should though. It's the idea of floors making you go faster, making you go slower, depending on the kind of floor you're on. Now, if you've been on maps such as Groundman or say Iceman, no, Iceman doesn't have it. Flashman I know has it. Then you've been on maps. Then you've noticed like the sandy floor kind of holds it down. The icy floor, slippery, makes it slide across the ice faster, but you can't really change your direction. So here I'm going to demonstrate the different kinds of floors you can make. And sector height doesn't matter. Texture technically doesn't matter either. All you need is a simple command. So we're going to have sand here. Yes, this sand right here. We're going to have ice here. So we're going to have blizzard ice, because ice is nice. I messed that up. That's why it's a good idea to exit and then re-enter visual mode after you finish changing a sector. So you can reselect select a new sector and get to work on that one. Oil. Flame oil. Doesn't automatically give you an oily floor. That will only be the case when you change the tag. So here we go. Right here. Similar to the conveyor belt script we had before. It says set sector friction. It asks for a tag and it asks for an amount. So the lower the amount, the more friction you're gonna face. Okay. The higher the amount, the more slippery the floor. Okay? Pretty simple stuff. So for the ice floor, I think we wanted to give it a tag of 3. For the sandy floor, we give that tag a 6. And for the oily floor, we're going to give that a tag of 7. Should be correct. Yes, that is correct. Okay. On this map. Now we're going to try running across the sand. Not very fast. Now we're going to try running across the ice. A little bit faster than usual. And if you try to stop, slip forward like you're on ice. And oil, woof, slip right past it. Not very easy to change direction. So if you want to go back, see, inertia is kind of fighting against you. Same deal here. Jump forward, but I want to go back. Kind of have to fight the inertia of the floor. Kind of have to fight inertia to change my direction. This floor, slow down, but doesn't matter too much. Okay. I think that's almost everything. Okay, two more things, Gyropads. To make Gyropads like you'd see in MM4 Gyro, GYR, similar to making jump pads. It's almost really similar, except we're going to be executing a different type of script when the actor hits the floor. So I'm going to try floor 1 here. Add a nice floor texture indicative of a gyro pad right here. I'm going to say when actor hits the floor, we want to always execute. Is that right? Yeah, when actor hits the floor, we always want to execute script number, I think it was 5 or something. So we're going to check what script that is. The Gyropad script. Yep, script 5. So similar to jump pad script, doesn't really care if you're, doesn't really care if you hit the jump button or not. It's still going to fling you in a certain direction. Okay. So thing thrusting. Thrust you at a certain angle with a certain amount of force. Now with a limit, I think. and it doesn't matter what thing ID is, it's always going to do that. And we're already familiar with ring throw C. Whoever activates the script gets flung with a force of 80 in the upward direction, adding to the speed you already have. The vertical speed, I mean. Okay, so see this script in action. Woo! Okay, see, look at that. Jump pad, gyropad. Now you notice there was an angle of value of 64. That's because Sandrone, and ZDoom in general, uses weird values for angles sometimes. You kind of have to go to the ZDoom wiki and look up this specific action right here, see what angles you can use to go in certain directions, like north, northwest, you know, cardinal directions, whatever. But what matters is that you need this little snippet of code right here to activate the script, to fly around. Okay, so last thing we're going to cover is teleporters. And the reason that's the very last thing, because I'm not a very big fan of teleporters. I feel they're like a last-ditch effort to preserve flow in your map. It sounds very pseudo-intellectual now, but when you get to experience mapping, you'll see what I mean eventually. So, to make teleporters, I'm just going to make these two sectors right here, 64 by 64 blocks. We're going to change the floors. That's teleporter floors. Right here. See? Look at that. Okay. Change the sides as well. To have teleporter slides size here. Okay. Looks pretty simple. Looks like a teleporter, but doesn't quite act like a teleporter yet. For that, we need two things for each sector. First, we're going to need a teleport destination. Right here. And we're going to give it an angle so that when a person teleports to this destination, they're facing in this direction. Okay? The next thing, oh, actually, I forgot. We got to give these things tags. So, I'm going to give them both a tag of 11. That's a pretty dumb idea, though. I'm going to give this one a tag of 12 here. I'm going to add sector teleporter destination right here. Okay. Good. Now, the last thing we need, both sectors. So the actor hits the floor. When I execute a script, always. I'm going to execute script 937. Script argument 1, 11. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. So we could just copy, paste the item. Control C, Control V, drag that. Okay, gives that its argument of 12. And that argument basically says, when you jump on this sector, where do you want to be teleported to? Well, I want to be teleported to sector 12, so it's going to take you here to tag 12. Just the same, if you jump on this teleport right here, it's going to ask, oh, where do you want to go? Okay, I want to go to sector 11. Right there. Look at that. See? Look at that. Simple as that. Actually, I think these things need a tag, but I'm not quite sure. I think they do, actually. Actually, these do need to be tagged. These are things that need to be tagged. The sectors themselves don't need to be tagged. That was a big whoopsie on my part. So we're going to revert those things back to 0. But make sure this thing has a set tag 11. Make sure this teleport destination has a tag of 12. Okay, run the map. And you should see when I get in the teleporter, I get teleported to the other side. So this is a great thing if you have a big map. You want people from get to point A to point B very quickly. Jump in. It's not actually script 937. It's not script 937. I thought it was. It must have been 973 or something. 973. I know it was a 900 level script. Not quite sure what script number it was, but it had 7s and 3s in it, so I guess I must have mixed up the numbers. Okay. See, look at that. Okay. As you can see, jump, get in a teleporter, takes you to a certain destination, gets you from point A to point B very quickly. And that's it. Okay. Now, it is possible to make those oil floors light on fire, but I recommend that you just go to Slade, open up Flayman, and copy whatever scripts, export the map if you have to, see how they make the oil pits work. Same thing I could recommend for gyro, same thing I could recommend for ground, for any map that has something that you want to copy, a gimmick that you want to copy. It always boils down to just these kinds of items right here, like activate floor, map spot, tagged sectors, tagged items, certain scripts being executed, that sort of thing. So we're going to save all our work, and we'll be done. Hopefully, this has taught you all you need to know about making a good map. And if you still feel like you want to learn more, well, here's a few links right here. Wire.com article that's very good for architecture basics. I've been Alex Mendez. Good luck with your maps.